I'd see him sitting on that couch all day long, just staring at that Hollywood hogwash.
Our favorite show was Hollywood Hogwash.
Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Hollywood Hogwash. I'm Andrew Pisano, along with Josh Reese. This is strictly talking about the House of the Dragon season finale, really just recapping the season as a whole, talking about what we liked, didn't like about it. That's all this episode is. So if you are not into House of the Dragon, or if you haven't watched it yet, then I guess stop listening now, because we're going to get into some spoilers. And maybe this could be like a common thing we do. I mean, we did it for She-Hulk.
Sure.
We did it for Better Call Saul. Right? Maybe instead of, talking about the shows every week, like if there's a show we really like, we can talk about it as a whole in a bonus episode.
Finish it, yeah. Andor, eventually, I imagine we'll get to.
I do want to watch Andor, yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I've heard it's really good from a couple friends. But yeah, so this show, at least for me, has been very interesting journey for these 10 episodes.
What I don't want you to take away from this, Andrew, is I don't want you to take away from this and go, I don't think I really want to watch Game of Thrones because
kinda how I
House of
feel.
Dragon sucks.
It's kind of how I feel.
No, Game of Thrones is 100 times better than House of Dragons.
I believe you.
Which is infuriating
Yeah.
for a Game of Thrones fan, because I thought this was going to be better. Now, look, I think season 2 of House of Dragons is going to be fairly good. There's going to be...
Why? Why do you think that?
I think that's when all the wars is going to start, is in
Sure.
season 2. So we're going to have a lot more wars and battles and dragon
But isn't
fights.
this show about war?
I know, which is infuriating why we didn't get any of it.
Like
in
maybe you
season
could have
1.
maybe the first 5 episodes, right? I get it. You have to build to it.
Sure.
But you built to nothing by the end of this season.
There was more...
It's next season. Next season's when the fun's gonna come.
There was more seasons. There was more scenes of birth and giving birth in the show.
Oh my god!
than any kills or any battles.
In the final episode, when Rhaenyra's like giving birth, and it's like, oh, are we gonna have a third woman die from giving birth?
She almost did, but the birthing scenes are even more graphic than some of the death scenes from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You get all the...
But they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Look, I remember like the first episode, I was like, all right, that was good. I liked it. Second episode, I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. I'm liking it. And then by episode 4 or 5 is when they do the massive time jump, and Rhaenyra and the Queen, Alicent, what's her name? Alicent. They both age significantly, and they're played by different actresses. Now, Alicent, you can't even tell the difference.
No.
It basically looks like the same woman.
Her older sister, it could be.
But Rhaenyra looks completely different. Okay, the young girl has buck teeth.
She did have kind of beaverish
So,
teeth.
and don't get me wrong, she was still cute and everything, but like the older version didn't. So what? Do they have dentists?
I think they did have some good dentists now.
I really couldn't get past that this is supposed to be the same character.
I think that was the hang up for a lot of people. It was just the characters,
That
time
was
jumps
botched.
were just so crazy.
So poorly. You could have aged her with makeup. It's really not that hard.
Yeah.
I don't understand. That really hurt it from me. Also, Christian Cole didn't age despite only being a few years older than Princess Rhaenyra.
He looked like he might have been the exact same age, if not younger, while everyone else around him was getting older.
Rhaenyra now looks significantly older than he does.
She's 45, and Kristen Cole's still 15.
Yeah. I couldn't get past that. Also, with the time jumps, once Rhaenyra is old, it's like that's a different person to me. So everything that happened to this other woman is different. So I couldn't get past that. I also couldn't get past with all the new children being born, and we're supposed to know who they are.
Right.
And then, this week they're 6, and then time jump next week. Oh, he's 16 now. I'm like, okay.
And like, who's who? Because you don't even get used to the kids when they time jump. And like,
The only
holy
kid
shit.
that is interesting. Who am I going to say?
What was the chick?
Huh?
well,
no, I mean now,
before
like
then.
the kids now.
Oh, it's One Eye.
Yeah.
Aemond.
Because he's a badass.
Yeah.
And he's an asshole, but he's a lot like Damon. You know?
Yeah, he is a
he
little
looks
bit like
like
Damon,
Damon,
for
but he's
sure.
got the eye patch. He's kind of a badass. Like he's actually very interesting.
Everyone else is just kind of meh.
And of course, his pussy brother is the one that is
King.
for now.
Yeah. And it's weird because the pussy brother looks like he's younger.
Yeah, he does.
And yet,
He really
and
does.
yet its eye patch is the one that's younger, supposedly.
Yeah.
It's
But they do that in Game of Thrones, right? Where like they have the wrong person on the throne.
wow. I mean, almost always it's the wrong person on the throne, apparently.
Yeah.
But I was given this show a lot of leeway because I like Game of Thrones so much. But where I checked out on the show was when you had Princess Rhaenys bust through,
Right.
and she's in the room where you have all the high towers, everyone, they're all getting kinged and everything, and she's like, all right, deuce bitches, and she just bounces out. Yet she just killed probably 10,000 people.
All she had to do was yell Takaris,
and then
the war. There's not even a war,
right?
Because you literally killed all the people in charge.
Yes,
you had all your fucking birds in one you had all your eggs in one basket, and right then breathe fire on all of them. It's over. The end. And then the beginning of season or episode 10, she's like, "It's not my war to start." It wouldn't have been one.
No, it would have been over. If anything, she always was complaining that she was never the queen. Dracarys everybody and just take the crown yourself.
Sure.
That would have been interesting. Then you had Princess Rhaenys fighting Princess Rhaenyra.
I mean, look, I get it. They don't want to kill they don't want to kill half their main characters.
But it was just dumb to put them in that situation to begin with.
Just don't do that then.
Jesus, you see that giant ass dragon?
So very frustrating. There was this whole season is just a cock tease.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's almost in, and then yanked it away.
Right. Well, the very last scene was the ultimate cock tease. You finally see the dragons do some badass shit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I guess I gotta wait.
Here's the thing. I've said this about other shows and movies. It doesn't take much. We said it about Black Adam. No spoilers, though. It doesn't take much for me to get emotional about a character dying or something. And at the end, one of Rhaenyra's sons gets eaten by the fucking dragon, by Aemon's dragon.
I know, and I was like, I
didn't care. You know why? Because this was this kid's second episode. Well, 2 weeks ago, he was 5 years old.
Right.
We know nothing about him other than he's a scared little boy.
Was he the one that took the eye out, or was it the older
I think
brother?
he was the one that took the eye out, right? Because that's why Aemon wanted his eye.
Eye for eye. Yeah.
And Aemon was not trying to kill him when they had the dragon chasing. He was just trying to scare
Fuck
him.
with him, yeah.
But then his dragon, I guess, didn't listen to him.
No.
And he was like, well, I'm fucking hungry. I'm going to eat this dragon.
So should we get into this a little bit? The
Yeah.
final episode?
Of course.
Yeah. So
I think we are.
Princess Rhaenys walks in and tells Princess Rhaenyra that her dad is dead and that she didn't kill anybody because it wasn't her war to start.
Not my war to start.
So it causes her a lot of stress, and apparently her and Damon have been fucking their brains out. So they were having a kid.
Yeah.
Causes her to give birth and have those very graphic birth scenes.
Another stillborn baby. Just like the
baby.
first episode. And then after the episode, they have like the 5 minutes where the creators jerk themselves off.
Yes.
And one of the guys is like, yeah, it's just like the first episode. Yeah, we know. It's not as clever as you think it is.
Maybe it shouldn't have been like the first episode.
It's not clever, even though you think you're being so fucking clever here. It's not.
So Sir Eric, he escaped King's Landing, and
whoever that is.
He brought the queen, or he brought Princess Rhaenyra the crown.
Viserys' crown, right?
Viserys' crown,
Yeah.
and gave it to Rhaenyra, officially making her the queen.
Well, officially. Of what? Of Dragonstone?
Dragonstone, yeah. So Rhaenyra is trying to get everybody to calm their tits. She doesn't want to go to war.
Yeah.
But Damon, he's like, no, we need to go to war. These motherfuckers killed my brother. We need to take revenge, know? So a lot of all this stuff happens. And then the sea snake, oddly enough, gets healthy.
He's just appears out of nowhere. Yeah. He wakes up and we're like, what? What? Sea snake, huh?
Where the hell have you been?
I know, it's crazy.
He just shows up out of nowhere.
You know, I will say that it was really cool, the table that they used. I thought that was really interesting with the lighting.
Yeah.
And how it kind of like showed through the ground. That was really cool. It might have been about the neatest thing in this episode, but I really like that. So they're all at the table and they're trying to figure out what houses are still with them.
Yeah.
And they figure out that there's not enough houses with them, so they don't want to go to war.
Yeah.
So Princess Rhaenyra, for some reason, decides that, hey, I'm going to let my sons become men. And they're going to go off and, you know.
Well, she was trying to recruit other houses.
Right, but why send the little children to go?
Because the oldest son said we should do it. Dragons are faster than ravens, and we have dragons. And then, like, a few other men at the table were like, they have to grow up at some point, my grace. And then she's like, very well, I'll be trusting and
Famous last words.
And again, that's just like her dad, who was way too trusting.
Way too trusting. A common theme in this show.
She's her father's daughter.
So it seems.
Yeah.
So Lucas Viserion, little Luke, rode off on the little tiny dragon.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
go
that's his name.
go treat with Lord Boris Baratheon. Baratheon was the first king that we met in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
The big old fat king.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that would be his like great grandfather or something like that.
Sure.
So that was where he went. So he finally got to Storm's End. Is that where they were?
I don't know.
I think it was Storm's End. So he's there, and good old One Eyes was there. Beat him to the punch.
Yeah.
And that dragon was huge, by the way.
Right. It
So-
was huge.
It was a very, very big dragon. And, you know, he should have knew something was up, to be honest. You see that big-ass dragon there.
Yeah.
So
You should have left right there.
he should have turned tail and ran.
Yeah.
So Luke went up there and was trying to talk with Lord Baratheon, but Baratheon just wasn't having it because he has nothing to offer.
Nope.
You know, good old One Eyes is going to marry one of my daughters. You
Yeah.
know, eventually be queen, maybe.
And,
So-
and what's his name? Lucas?
Lucas.
He's like, well, I'm already marrying my stepsister, so...
So, you know, I've already got a good deal going, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, what are you doing, step bro? And it's very exciting. I'm very excited.
Yeah. So Aemon's all pissed off and he's like, I'm going to take your eye, motherfucker. Baratheon, smartly enough, said you can't do it in my house because he knew that was going to cause some drama.
Yeah.
So they both fucked off. When he was in the air, rainstorms, you could tell something was going to happen. You got that dramatic music going.
Yeah.
And this is where you got that. Now, it's kind of funny because one of the main books that they talk about in Game of Thrones is Dance of the Dragons.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of about this time period.
Yeah.
And this scene was kind of a Dance of the Dragons. It ended terribly. But that was kind of neat seeing, like, you know, a tiny bit of callback. The Dance of the dragons were dancing type of thing.
And I guess Lucas has a baby dragon.
Yeah.
That's why he's significantly smaller.
Yeah. So he thought he was going to get away. Flame balled. Did he flame ball the dragon? Did he throw fire at her? Or just
I
peck him?
think so.
Yeah. Dragon just shucked it off.
Then he just ate him.
And then he just ate him.
And
out
Aemon
of
was
nowhere.
like, no!
It was funny because, you know,
Listen to me! No!
As soon as Aemon did, he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He had one of those faces that we've all had, like, fuck, I just fucked up.
Yeah.
And, you know, this sets up season 2, which is, you know, where all hell is going to break loose. But we should have had some hell breaking loose this season.
Yeah. Killing a
been
kid
nice.
that we just met was
Right.
not a big enough deal. I get the final thing, like Rhaenyra is gonna go ape shit, and she's gonna just be flat out kill everyone next season.
Right.
And that could be interesting and all.
So you remember Game of Thrones in that first episode that you saw, right?
Yeah.
When they pushed the kid off the ledge.
Yeah.
You had an emotional attachment with him, even in that
Yeah.
one episode.
I did.
Just because you got to see him throughout the episode,
Right.
you got to really kind of develop some feelings for him.
That's right.
Lucas here, we've seen for a couple episodes, and
Not care at all.
I didn't care at all.
Did not care at all.
Didn't matter, and it was so frustrating.
That's
This
a really
death should have meant
good
more.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, this death should have meant more, and it meant nothing.
that's true.
Very frustrating.
It is. Yeah, and I want to bring up something. I saw our former coworker and friend Paul Gallant, he's a huge Game of Thrones fan.
Okay.
And he also watched House of Dragon. And he tweeted this. There might be other fans who feel the same way, but who told Rhaenyra that her son was dead?
That's right. How in the world would they ever find out? If anything, like, hey, Luke never came back.
Yeah.
Where's Luke?
Well, we don't know what he said to her.
Right.
But because Daemon is so war hungry, you know, he wants to go to war. Rhaenyra doesn't. He knows what would make Rhaenyra want to go to war.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
obviously, all Daemon had to do was like have someone tell someone else to tell them, you know, like to send Aemon there. Obviously, he's not saying like, hey, go kill Rhaenyra's son, because that's not what happened.
Right.
Aemon wasn't trying to kill Rhaenyra, but he knows that Aemon has ill feelings towards Lucas because Lucas took his eye out, or at least one of them did, right? But
Yeah. Even though he got
but
the
Daemon
biggest
could
prize.
be Daemon could be in on it, where he maybe set something like that up.
Maybe. I could see that. Damon is kind of a power hungry type of person.
Yeah,
You know, that could be it. But I don't know. This has just been a really frustrating season. I had much higher hopes for it. I'll probably still watch season 2, but you know, it's
I don't know right now
kind
for
of
me.
frustrating. And the more frustrating part is apparently the HBO Max chief, Casey Bloyds, told Vulture.com, don't expect season 2 in 2023, but I think sometime in 2024. So we're
right.
still going to have to wait fucking 2 years for the next season.
Maybe not 2 years, maybe like a year and 4 months. You don't know. It could be early 2023.
Maybe.
Or early 2024, sorry.
Yeah. Maybe. But, you know.
Was there anything else like from episodes, 8, 9?
I guess the only thing that we didn't talk about was the weird foot fetish.
Oh, yeah. That guy jerking off to...
You never even saw him again. He never really played a role in
No, he
anything
got what
going
he wanted.
forward.
He's good now.
Oh, yeah. He got what he
That
wanted.
was his motivation. That was his arc, was I need to jerk off some feet.
It was kind of weird. I was like wondering when he was in that room and she took off her shoes and put her feet on the counter. I was like, what
Yeah.
is she doing?
Oh.
And then she started rolling down her socks and he started diddling himself. I was like, oh, I see. He's been a good boy.
You literally had to spell it out for Josh to understand what's going to happen
Well, no,
here.
because he wasn't
Why is
diddling
she
himself or
doing that?
anything.
He's touching himself. Why would he be? Why would he be touching himself?
He was not touching himself until she pulled the socks off.
Yeah.
When he pulled the socks off, it was fair game. He was like, "Oh, I'm in it. I'm in it now."
Yeah, that's the payment.
That was kind of strange. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that was really very impactful in this season.
Yeah.
You know, we just never really got to know very many of the characters we were supposed to care about.
What's the new king's name? Aegon.
Aegon.
He's a rapist.
He seemed
He
to
did
be
he did rape that one one worker.
right. He seems to be just like an asshole in general.
Yeah.
When they were trying to find him, they were going through all the seedy belly of King's Landing.
And he knows he's a pussy. He doesn't want to be the king, and they forced him into the chair.
Right. So I mean, like the what they tell in Game of Thrones is that this time period, the Dance of the Dragons, which is happening right now, is what leads to the end of the Targaryen dynasty. So we're going to see, you know, the Targaryens just destroy themselves. And, you know, it just, I wish we would have got a little bit more of that in season 1.
But they're the protagonists.
No, well, I mean, the Targaryens, I think we're still including Rhaena and we're still including Aemon too. Like that whole bloodline is just going to get torn to bits, which is why the only person that's left standing is Dany from Game of Thrones.
Who's Dany?
Princess Khaleesi.
Oh, Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Well, how is she the only? Why her family got killed off?
Yeah, because she's one of the last surviving members.
Oh.
And she's one of the members of these families.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well,
So I mean, it was kind of cool. You did get some moments in this show where there were thumbs to the nose of Game of Thrones.
yeah.
But I mean, that was really what all it was about. You just got some breadcrumbs.
So this is gonna have it's gonna be a pretty dark finale whenever they get there, I would imagine. Or like the final thing is like Khaleesi is born, right?
Yeah,
Because they're gonna probably keep doing these fucking time jumps.
Right. Well, I mean, we probably are going to get some of these time jumps. I do wonder if we're going to get up to where the Mad King is, because the Mad King was Khaleesi's father, and that was the guy who was always burn them all, wanted to kill everybody for fire.
But he's in Game of Thrones?
No.
So you just hear stories about it?
You just hear stories about him because that was his
Probably,
father.
I would imagine, yeah.
So that would be interesting if we were able to get up to that timeline, but that's a long time away.
Sure, but the way they've been, you know.
The way it's going, right, it could be in season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know if I'm going to watch it. Depending, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try in 2024. But let's see what some of our fans have to say. Brock Landers, the whole season was pretty slow moving. The finale was lackluster. It felt like the whole dragon chase scene was something out of Harry Potter and not Game of Thrones.
They were on the what do you call that? The snitch? Is that what it was? When on the broomstick?
What?
When on Harry Potter we're on the broomstick. What is that called? Is that the snitch? Or the snitch was never mind. Just continue.
What?
I'm gonna look that up.
I don't know. I don't watch Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter broom. What is it called?
It's a fucking broom. Who cares? Quidditch. They played Quidditch.
Broomsticks. Harry Potter. What are the brooms in Harry Potter?
Okay,
called?
no one cares. This was a Harry Potter joke. That's it.
The Nimbus racist.
Racist?
The Nimbus racing broom.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. The snitch? The switch?
Switch?
Shut up. 199 Big T on honestly kind of an underwhelming season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the actor playing Damon has done a phenomenal job, as well as Joe. I mean, Laris Strong's actor. But I've been pretty bored with the show overall. I love Game of Thrones, so I'm going to give it another season before I give up on it.
You know, the actor that played Damon, you don't even remember that he played in Morbius.
He played in Morbius?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the villain.
I know.
Right. And that
He
movie.
did a good job.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Morbius.
Oh, for sure.
Eric Hamilton's stepbro. Aemond is such a good character. My God, the most polished king that will never be named as such. Assuming we enter season 2, 2024, fuck my life, with a war. Who are you pledging loyalty to, Queen Rhaenyra or King Aegon?
Queen Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
course.
Rhaenyra, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he put hashtag house TBD. Wow.
Interesting. I have my own house now?
TBD.
Interesting. House Pisano?
The Rizzler, I still think Team Rhaenyra should have fucked up Otto and his crew during that face-to-face. You knew the war was inevitable. Well, no, you don't kill the messenger, right? It's not 300.
No.
This is Dragonstone!
Well, going back to that scene, Otto pulls out a page. You remember that page in the book? Apparently, Alicent ripped it out in one of the first episodes. That
Yeah.
should have meant a little bit more too, but it really didn't mean
What
anything.
did it mean?
It just meant that Alicent still respected their friendship because she kept that page her whole entire life.
What page?
He handed her a page from a book.
Yeah.
And it was the page that she ripped out whenever they were talking about something in one of the early scenes.
But what was the page? What was on the page?
It's nothing. It was from a book, random book that she was holding.
Okay.
Exactly. It should have meant more, but it meant nothing.
And he also says, side note, Aemond has a face you don't get tired of kicking. I would say that about Aegon. Aemon's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The one-eyed guy. Pop culture junkie. I enjoyed the show, but like others, I feel the creators are focusing on more focused on patting themselves on the back for being more focused on representation and including everyone rather than just focusing on making a good show with good characters, good storylines. I do wish they would involve at least some practical effects and not go into the CGI route, especially with the dragons.
Well, one of the frustrating things I felt, especially about watching the season as a whole, was when I came into the season, everyone was like, there's going to be so many dragons in the show. It's going to be dragons, 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 dragons. We really didn't see that many dragons. I mean, we saw a lot of them, but they didn't really do anything. It was kind of frustrating. The dragons did like one thing.
Well, that's next season.
Yeah. Oh, they saved the budget for next season.
It's like the South Park episode. Oh, the dragons are coming. Dragons are coming, yeah. Jerry Yang, favorite character for the show. Knowing Josh, it's probably Laris. I don't know why Josh's favorite character would be
Which
Laris.
one? Laris was the
Foot fetish guy.
foot fetish
yeah, I don't
guy.
know.
No, Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's kind of badass.
Rhaenyra, young Rhaenyra.
Well, young Rhaenyra for sure.
Now my favorite is Aemon.
Aemon's cool too. Yeah.
Shelley, it was okay. To be honest, I preferred season 1 of Game of Thrones, which Andrew should have to watch. I wish they did not time jump so fast. Too many bloody birthing scenes, not enough dragons. I will watch season 2 when it comes out. I might not be liking it as much as Game of Thrones season 1 because there is no one comparable to Khal Drogo.
Khal Drogo, Dany's husband. You're not there yet.
Oh, that's Aquaman.
Oh yeah, you did see him in the first episode.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, not gonna lie, I absolutely love the show. Could have been better, but still pretty good. Well,
Hey,
good for you.
someone has to love something, right? Not everyone can hate everything.
Someone has to love Josh.
Someone has to. Where are you? Where are you?
We're like, who are you?
For real, my DMs are open.
So what would you rate it out of 10 the entire season?
Man, maybe a 6.
Yeah,
a 5.
I would give it a 6.
5.5, 6.
I would give it a 6. If they would have had a really good finale, like a really good ending, then that could have saved it.
Yeah.
If you were building and building and building to someone, but Rhaenyra has 10 kids. What's one? Like
No,
and we don't know anything about them.
The end of the season should have been last week, and it should have been with Princess Rhaenyra just fucking Dracarys everything. Cut the black into season. Next season, shit's going down. Instead,
why would shit go down then? You don't have any antagonists at that point.
well, and at that point, then she declares herself queen or something like that.
That could have worked.
But I'm just saying, like, that's where it should have ended. That would have been the most awesome scene. But instead, it just went on, and then you had another birthing scene. Then you had the fucking guys just doing nothing all episode long, trying to gather support from the lords.
Yeah.
They ended up not getting any support from the lords. So, I mean, there's still that to deal with in season 2. It was just a very flat ending. Still not as bad as She-Hulk.
Well, what is? What is? Let's not, again, I thought we were done talking about that show, Josh. I don't want to talk about that fucking show anymore, Josh.
I just want to say, because I forgot to bring it up whenever we did talk about She-Hulk, and we're not going to talk too long about it, but the worst season that we've ever seen, Andrew, it's not She-Hulk, it's Reacher. Reacher's the worst.
Oh.
I'm sorry. When I was thinking about it, I remembered Reacher, and Reacher is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. At least in She-Hulk, we got some cameos. Reacher was awful.
Here's the difference.
Okay.
I only watched 2 episodes of Reacher.
Oh, that's right. I finished Reacher.
I didn't watch the entire fucking season, okay?
I did it.
So, yes, I would probably, if I watched the entire season, I might be there with you, but I didn't. So in terms of watching a full season, She-Hulk is still the worst thing I've ever watched. Yeah. Anything else, I've quit, but...
Maybe you should watch some Reacher to give you some perspective.
No, and I'm not going to watch season 2 of Reacher either.
No.
Because they're doing that, apparently. But, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be doing our weekly Hogwash episode Sunday night. I'm going to be sending out a poll. Look for that on patreon.com/What's Wrong with Wrestling. You could vote on which horror movie you want us to watch. So Josh is already pissing himself.